right, guys. I'm trying to do like one of these videos a day now, and sometimes it's not always easy to find things to talk about. There's plenty of things that I do want to talk about, but it's hard sometimes to compartmentalize my thoughts in my brain before turning the camera on. So hopefully with time that'll get a lot better. But the focus of the channel is going to kind of just be a little bit all over the place for a while anyway. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. Like I'm going to be saying now, if you guys are new, consider subscribing, and if you like the video, these are my thoughts. Go ahead and hit that like button, and then, as I always say to any returning viewers, longtime subscribers that stick around for this new era of the channel, I very much appreciate that. But the kind of topic today that I was going to discuss was kind of what the next 4 years are going to look like with this Trump presidency, and possibly what it will look like if certain things don't happen during his presidency. And there's already signs. This is just my black pilling that I naturally gravitate towards this point of view nowadays. Is that it doesn't look super promising. Like, I'm not saying Trump has been a completely failed. I'm going to call him Trump 47 because that he's first term 45, now 47. So it hasn't been a complete fail with Trump 47, but there's just a lot of things. The big one pertaining to our friends over in the Middle East. That's a big one. I'm not going to talk about it at length. I'm probably going to have to use a lot of code words basically, because that's one of the things that the Trump admin seems to be doing. And I don't know if it's Trump himself, but they seem to be really going after this whole anti-Semitism, hate speech thing under the guise of deportations. Now, I really wanted the deportations. That was actually my number one issue, because during Biden, they say 20 million, but I think it's more like 50 million is what was let in during Biden. Just a major demographic change in the country. Insane. And I've been seeing leeway with that. They're saying that border crossings are very low right now, which is good. But I'm not seeing as much of the deportations. Now, maybe the self-deportations is a factor that I'm not privy to, that's not being reported as much. But that's really the big issue. But I'm also seeing now, I'm seeing the government pivot where they're going to use this. This is almost like another Patriot Act, like a Patriot Act 2.0, where they're going to use this deportation of terrorists, right? They keep using that word now, of terrorists, and they really like to make this about Hamas and things like that, which, again, I don't really care. I don't want those people here anyway, but I'm just saying they're going to use this for that, and then, in the future, anyone, people like me or other YouTubers, or really anyone that criticizes our good friends over there, could try to be impacted. But the white pill here is that I think this discussion has progressed to a point where it's unavoidable for them. There's too many people talking about it, especially on X. I don't even know if Elon wanted that to happen, but one of the I don't personally have an X account because I try to avoid as many social medias as possible, just because I don't want to be on them all day. You really YouTube, Facebook, those are the big ones I use. But there's a lot of things still happening on X. There's a lot of discussions being had, you know, then it translates over to YouTube. People make videos, and I'm pretty shocked about the level, the progression of this discussion. So that's the white pill, is that it might just get so out of their hands, especially in 4 years, that they can't control it. And that's been another thing about the Trump admin that I've been not enjoying, is it does seem like they're trying to just kind of put a lot of this stuff away from the Biden years, but then they're still kind of pushing the agenda anyway. Like, there's a lot of talk about these like AI vaccines now that are going to cure cancer. Like that to me is like nightmare fuel, because it's like we're just now we're entering like Resident Evil world. I don't know if you guys know, I'm like a big fan of the Resident Evil franchise. I always have been, and to me it's kind of like Alien and a lot of these things. The messages of those was kind of like, if you mess around, you know, F around and find out kind of thing. And so it's almost like just science fiction, all these things that we wrote, you know, like Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. They didn't heed any of those lessons. It's just like, oh, let's just do it anyway, right? Like there's a thing now where, like, I guess Bill Gates is trying to block out the sun. Like, this is absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure in the Matrix movies, that's actually what doomed civilization. That's what was like the final thing that killed everyone. So just keep that in mind, right? Like, this is the level that they're at. But yeah, like, so what's going to happen in the next 4 years, right? Like, so right now the big thing is the judges, right? That we're finding out that you can just do stuff, but then you've got all these like judges now. The Supreme Court doesn't seem to be on the side here, and this is really a beyond Trump issue. A lot of people need to understand this is more of the future of the country type issue. If we don't deport these people, guys, like, it really is over. Like, this country is going to be, just look at what's happening in the UK right now. That's going to be a big indicator, especially in 4 years as well. Like, just pay attention to geopolitics, really. It's more important than paying attention to the day-to-day here, other than the deportation stuff, right? Like, all the tax stuff, all that stuff that Trump talks about. Like, he's talking about giving women money to have families, which, by the way, China and North Korea tried, I think, or maybe South Korea, they tried this and it doesn't work. All it does is it just creates more single mothers, but that's beside the point. So he's talking about doing all of these weird financial things. He's still talking about not taxing people that make under 150,000, 200,000 now. He's still talking about that, but to me, all of these things are distractions, like midterm distractions. He's even talking about actually running for a third term. We'll just have to see. Like, I'm all for the monarchist mindset, as you guys might know. I've talked about that. So, like, I would like the government, the most effective government possible, to stay in office as long as possible to fix whatever is going on. This whole 4-year cycle thing just doesn't work. I've kind of talked about democracy in other videos, but this doesn't work, because really you get like 1 year and then you got to start campaigning for the midterms, and then always what happens is you lose a lot of ground in the midterms, and then you got to like pander, and it just you basically only get like 1 year to do anything, and then you're seeing what's happening where Trump's just like mad dashing these executive orders, because that's kind of what you have to do. That's the flaw of this system. Is the 4-year, just there's so many flaws, but that's a huge one. So yeah, what do I think's gonna happen in the next 4 years? It's kind of the thesis of this whole video, is that I think living standards are going to go way down. That's just something that's going to happen. This isn't necessarily a Trump thing, but what it is like I've talked about before, we printed more money in the last 3-4 years, like 80% of the dollars in circulation right now. were printed in the last 4 years in the history of the country. Now keep that in mind, right? 1776 or whatever, whenever the actual, like in the 1600s, whenever the country was founded. More money. Like that's why when you go to Walmart and you buy like toothpaste and like eggs and like shampoo, it ends up costing you like $28, right? And you're thinking, how did I spend $28 on 3 items? Well, this is why, because the money is absolutely useless, and they're going to have to do something about that. And I don't know how. Trump has said he's not going to do the CBDC, the central bank digital currency. If you guys don't know what that is, it's just like this form of government crypto fiat. Essentially, it would be like a China communist type financial tool. It would be a way to like track you. You'd probably have to use an app. You'd have like a government sanctioned like banking app that you'd have to use. But this would be a way for them to control spending and get all the taxes. They could raise lower prices. They literally would. It would be like some kind of cyberpunk dystopia. They would use your personal data, right? And we've already given them everything they need. This was the whole project of Facebook with like Palantir and the CIA and all that. Is like we've already given them willingly all the data, right? Even me making this video, we've given them all the data, all the information they need on our personal lives. Like they can watch this video, see the things around me, and be like, oh, he's into this, he's into that, he lives like this, he's wearing this shirt, right? Like whatever. And then they can just use this to determine your living standard. Now, regardless of Trump, I still think that this is the plan, because again, reading about Bill Gates wanting to blot out the sun, there's no reason for anyone to want to do that unless they just want total control in some kind of sick way. So I still think, one of the things about Trump, probably one of the negatives of Trump over maybe if Kamala had won, is that Trump is going to put a lot of people back to sleep, because the deep state gears will continue churning, right? Again, the benefit of Biden was that it was getting so bad and so apparently bad that it was like unavoidable for most people. Most people just didn't follow it, kind of like me, or they just they coped for it, they made excuses for it. But with Trump, it's a lot easier to do that, and the left is just going to look insane like they always do, like blowing up Teslas and doing all the things that they do. We're entering summer now, so who knows? They're going to do this for 4 years, and it's going to, like I said, we're dealing with the judges thing now, where they're getting all mad, even though like they spent their entire 4 years going after their political opponents. So now when Trump does it, because this is banana republic level stuff anyway, so it's not ideal, but it is the way it is now. 2020 changed everything. We can no longer trust a lot of things in the government, so that's what's going on right now. But what I think is going to happen, like I said, so one, the living standard is probably going to go down, especially if the deportations don't hit the numbers, which it doesn't look like they are, guys. I think he's only deported like barely over 100,000 people since being sworn into office. Sorry, this light turned off here. I have like a light in the background. There we go. Since he's taken office, I think it's literally only been like 100, maybe 150,000. Now again, these are like arrest deportations. This doesn't count the self deportations. And that's the strategy that they should do. As cringe as Kristi Noem is, something like her going to the El Salvador prison and like taking the photos to kind of like scare them, that's a good tactic. They should do more things like that, but do it in a less cringe way. Like, that's another thing about the Trump admin. There's all these women in there, like Pam Bondi and Carolyn Levitt, I think is her name. They just do this tough girl thing, and it's just absolutely cringe. That's one of the things I hate the most about the Republican Party is the girl bosses, right? Like they talk about being anti-feminism, but they're basically just covert feminists, as Andrew Wilson has talked about. They just pretend to be these like tough girls. They have this like masculine energy that's just not attractive and just not appealing at all. And it's really that's just the state of our politics, is just this cat fighting. There's really only like one woman. She's not necessarily in politics, but Candace Owens. I really like her. But even I saw her like arguing with Michaela Peterson on Piers Morgan recently, and this is just what it is. It becomes like very petty, very cat fighty, like that's what it is. So if they're gonna do this stuff, they need to do more stuff with like Pete Hegseth or Kash Patel or something like that. But it is a good strategy. It's a good strategy to make them basic, like cut off all their benefits. This would be very easy to do if he just did it. That's another thing about Trump that really frustrates me, is I think he could just do it. He could just start ignoring the courts completely. They might do that. They just arrested one in Wisconsin, but they need to arrest like 500 of those, because these are the people that are impeding, and a lot of them, they're finding out, have literally been put in the last 2 to 4 years. So they've just been installed during Biden's presidency. That's what that presidency was, right? They took the election, and then it was just a mad dash to like, okay, how do we like completely destroy the country and fortify our positions for the next, I don't even know how long, 20 plus years, the rest of my lifetime at least, right? My generation. That was kind of the dirty bargain with millennials. It's like, oh, you're going to go to, they just lied to us, right? You're going to go to college, you're going to get all this, but all college did, created indentured servitude with the masses. None of us can afford anything now. Bring in 1 million immigrants, we can't afford any housing because we're competing with immigrants. Put women in the workforce, that was a huge project of us, and now we're competing with women, and there is no such thing as a family wage anymore, which I've talked about previously. All these things, right? This was the goal, right? We're kind of the discarded generation in many ways. We're just the boomers. They racked up the debt so much that there had to be a fall guy, and I think the millennials are the patsy generation. We were the ones picked to take the fall, and the Zoomers too. The Zoomers, they've completely checked out. A lot of them don't even seem to care. They're really conservative. A lot of the men that I've talked to, I see a lot of them at the gym actually, which is good. A lot of them go to the gym, but a lot of them have just they've just checked out. They just work like menial jobs to eat, and they if they have girls, you can tell it's just like a situationship is what they call it. They're just doing what millennials did. This is what my generation did when we were in our 20s. I never did this, but a lot of my friends just hooked up, and nothing ever came of it. And the ones that are married, they don't really have any kids, or they're not even married. They're just basically like living with each other. So yeah, anyway, I'm kind of like rambling on this point, but yeah, that's going to happen. The standard of living, that's something really I'm hammering it home, because like I think people need to prepare for this. Like jobs are going to become, I don't even know if they're going to become completely scarce, but the nature of the job is going to change quite a bit, where I don't think like white collar work is going to be as readily available, and that's where I've worked my whole life, so it kind of sucks for me. I've been in customer service, white collar work, like almost my entire life, working life I should say. I've worked retail as well, but a lot of these jobs I think are going to be replaced by manual labor jobs. There might be like incentives for that. They might find ways to get people to start doing those again. I think it was Ronald Reagan that said that if you want to encourage something, you subsidize it, but if you want to discourage something, you tax it. So it's like the woman thing, right? Giving women money to have kids, like that's a bad idea, but they could just do this for like the workforce, like lower taxes on certain careers, incentivize certain careers by I'm not saying give money, but just lowering taxes, that can go a long way. So that's probably what's going to happen. We'll have to see, because Trump's tariff thing kind of already fell apart in my opinion, but I think that was the goal of that, is he's trying to bring a lot of these businesses back. and we'll just have to kind of see as it goes on if that happens. And then if he does start deporting a lot of people, that's like, here's like a positive scenario. If he does actually follow through and deport, I don't know, 10, 20 million, very unlikely, but say he does, that's going to cause a housing crash. Like, one of the reasons why real estate is so inflated is because of immigration. Like, that's the dirty little secret that they don't really want you to know about, is that they want the more people in the country, the higher they can jack up the rent, because more demand, they more supply. So this is the real estate kind of mass renter mentality, and there's just no future in that. Like, you can't just have billionaires owning all these homes and treating them as rental properties. Like, that's not sustainable. People can't just pay rent for their entire lives, and some of these rents are more than mortgages cost. Like, if you were to just get a mortgage on a 30-year loan with a house, you'd pay less than paying rent every day. So, there's still a lot of homes too. There's like ways to buy houses, but the plan is, at least for the globalists, is to continue this renter thing. So that's why the deportation thing is really being fought so hard for that. And then also the voter base, right? They just give them free stuff. They'll vote Democrat, and then they can continue this scam into hyperinflation, really, because they can only continue it for so long. I just don't think. I've always talked about money and financial systems as like a religion, and once people stop believing in the religion, it will kind of crumble, and that's kind of what's happening. The dollar, a lot of people are losing faith in the dollar, and so at that point it doesn't really matter how much you print if people just check out. And especially other countries, that was the deal Nixon made in 1971 when he switched over to the petrodollar. It's called the euro dollar. He basically made that bargain, like, hey, we're going to be the world currency, you guys are going to buy bonds from us, and we're going to like ensure that your money is good. But they're defaulting on all of this. And you saw this with Biden tried to do the sanctions on Russia. Trump has now tried to do the tariffs, and both of those have failed. Not really necessarily, it's just necessarily because the dollar is becoming less valuable over time. That's what that shows me. So the standard of living is going to go down, and the money is going to keep inflating. I don't think that inflation is going to change. In fact, Trump right now is fighting with Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. I actually kind of agree with Powell in a way. I'd rather go into the Depression. I've already kind of set my life up that way to take the hit, because I saw this coming like 3-4 years ago. But again, it's a positive in a way, but also negative, is that Trump is going to try to save the current system, and he's going to put a lot of people to sleep again. And I don't know, maybe the collapse will happen under him. I don't know, but there is definitely some kind of Great Depression level event coming. And then what else to look forward to? The country is going to become a lot more, I think, radicalized. Like the left is going to really dig in. They're kind of giving up. But what's going to happen too is the right wing, I think, is going to have an identity crisis, because a lot of the right wing people like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr., like these guys these people are not, they're not right wing. They're just the left me types, right? They're really Democrats, like hard. Like, if you would have just looked at them 10 years ago, I mean, Tulsi Gabbard's like pro-abortion and pro like legalizing weed and all this stuff, like, right? This is all the Democrat talking points. But because the left has become so insane over the last 10 years, someone like Trump and Tulsi Gabbard, these people look sane to us now. And so the right wing, the true right wing, they're going to have like a real identity crisis, because ultimately these people are left wing. They want to preserve classical liberalism. This is kind of the point of like a James Lindsay and like a Jordan Peterson. These types of people. Is there even like a Joe Rogan? I don't know. Joe Rogan has people on. Maybe he's changing, but I've always thought of him as kind of, another thing is like Bill Maher is friends with Trump now. Like that's completely astroturfed. But this is what it is. Like there really is no true right wing in the country. But I think that's going to change as the boomers continue to, age and die off. I think the younger generations, maybe not the millennials, my generation kind of sucks. We're probably one of the more left-wing generations, unfortunately. Big reason why we're even here, because the millennials completely bought the Kool-Aid, basically. I'm guilty of some of it. I didn't buy most of it, but I still went to college and did all that crap. But the Zoomers are very interesting. The men are extremely right wing, but the women are extremely left wing. So like the intersexual divide is going to vastly increase, and we're just gonna have to see the ramifications of that. Personally, I think if society continues in this right wing direction, the women will just fall in line, because that's kind of how women are. Women do tend to want to follow. They'll kick and scream along the way, but ultimately, if they can't eat and it becomes like a dire situation, they will fall in line. I don't know if that means they're going to start getting married off or anything, but they'll just kind of like go along with the right wing direction, and that'll sort itself out basically. But yeah, that's kind of the video. It's kind of like all over the place on that one, but I just kind of wanted to make I just had a bunch of thoughts. That's kind of the point of these videos now. By the way, if you got this far, subscribe, like the video, helps me out. I'm trying to grow the channel. I'd like to get monetized and get over the 1,000 subscribers finally, and hopefully that'll happen in reasonable time frame. I'm looking into a lot of things too to make the videos a little bit better, but right now I'm just using my phone. It's what I got, so it's what I'm going to use. But yeah, that's kind of that's kind of what I've been thinking about, is just what's going to happen in the next 4 years. Cost of living is going to go down. People are going to get more and more divided, I think, on a lot of issues. You're going to see a lot of insanity, because the mental health crisis in this country is very, very crazy. It's just a weird thing. Like, it's weird to think how old I'm getting, but yeah, like as the millennials like enter their 40s, that's not even far off. A lot of us are already in our 40s, but in the next 5 years, I think like most of us will be in our 40s, except for like the young millennials, and then the Zoomers will start to enter their 30s. That's when things are going to get really weird, and that's probably going to happen. Yeah, that's going to happen in the next 4 years. So that's another thing to look out for, is we're no longer children, guys. Like the generations are aging. Gen Alpha is going to be like, they're going to be like young children. Like they'll be in like they'll be like 8, 9. So like this is all happening. This is all coming, and it'll be here before you know it. I mean, we're already to almost May of Trump's presidency, so he's already been in office for 4 months. So this is so it is. But yeah, that's just a couple things to look out for. I kind of just rambled, but those are the key things that I've been thinking about. I try not to predict things too much. It's one of the reasons why I held off on making certain videos, is because I wanted to see how the tariffs went. And personally, I think the tariffs they've just fallen flat. He's already caving to China. He's just realizing this isn't necessarily a Trump thing. He believes in this art of the deal, and that does work in the business world, but it's not really working in politics. It looks like these people just don't care. Like Xi doesn't care, Putin doesn't care, Macron doesn't care. These people just don't care. They're just like gonna do what they're gonna do. And Trump is also finding out that you can't just undo 70 years, 60, 70 years of this in 4 years. you can't do it. Like they've been outsourcing to China since the 70s. Just go read about the Trilateral Commission. This started in Jimmy Carter's presidency. It's been going on for a very long time. Bill Clinton himself even talked about how we're just trying to even the playing field. You know, like that's been this goal the whole time, is they want everyone to enjoy democracy and you know, be whatever, and then they want to outsource all the jobs overseas because it makes everything cheaper, it makes the GDP look better, it makes their stock portfolios go up. That's been the game. This is just kind of like a casino country. It's just really fake and really gay, and I say that a lot because it's the best way to describe it. Our money's fake and everyone's becoming gay. It's like a fact of life. Like nobody's having children, nobody's doing anything really. We're just existing. We're in this weird, you know, Orwell would blush. We're in this like weird, where it's manufactured consent. We're in this state of existence where, you know, a lot of us didn't really want this, but we all created Facebook accounts, we all got on the internet, and we all started doing things like this, right? We've basically willingly given them all they need. So anyway, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think, and yeah, like I said, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, hit that like button, and if you're a returning viewer that is wanting to go on this new journey with me, I very much appreciate it. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.